Right, Ethan, I'm happy to be in this space with you again. Virtual
I,
Zoom.
I'm grateful to be in the space with you too.
Yeah, you started to give me an update today and we didn't get to finish. So can you tell me what's going on today?
Sure. Yeah. I prefer not to communicate too quickly, but at the same time, there's so much urgency. So I'll just get right into it and just go right through it. Basically, the left side of my body feels like if it progresses and gets worse, it could get paralyzed. I'm putting out the positive energy, it'll heal, but that's the just what I'm observing the past few days and even the past few hours because of the tumor growth on the right side of the brain. So it's
Mhm.
uh, a beautiful practice in staying present. And even if the left side of the body gets paralyzed, then still being present and just going from there. So that's kind of what's happening now. As I told you earlier today, I got some good news that I'm pretty sure I qualified. Yeah, I did qualify for a clinical trial that is perfect for my exact type of glioblastoma recurrence. And it's different than chemo. It doesn't have the bad side effects of chemo. They're just waiting to see if insurance will go through. I have a feeling it will. So it's a constant like intensity and then just presence and then miracles coming. That's what my life has been like this past year, and a lot of unknowns too. But there's like a deep trust, if you could say. So that's what's happening now. I'm currently in the hospital after two head surgeries a few weeks ago to clean out a head infection that went to the bone. And I've been on antibiotics for a little over 5 weeks. Um, and I wasn't sure what I would do after this. And I think it was yesterday or the night before, I was literally going to start chemo, and the nurse was about to give it to me. But then something in my intuition said, no, you don't have to start right now. So I said, no, thanks. I don't want it tonight, maybe tomorrow. And I didn't start it yet. And I was thinking that I might go to Asheville, North Carolina to do intravenous ozone and possibly other therapies and stop the antibiotics before October 22nd and basically try to create my own ICU for brain cancer unit instead of chemo. Because if I stay at the hospital and do chemo, that's just, for me, my intuition is telling me nothing positive will happen. My body will experience stress from the chemo. Then after that, I'll have to recover from the chemo and then even begin to address rebuilding health. And I could just stay in the hospital and do, um, well, for now, I'm just in the hospital on antibiotics to clear the infection. Um, I know that's a lot I just shared, but
I
basically,
wanted to ask you about that actually. You started to mention the intuition and you decided to go through with the chemo. It's like this plan and like the pill is actually like that is like down to the last
yeah,
and then you didn't. You also said to me the other day that it surprised me when you said that, if I just wanted to give up and die, you said the opposite of what I thought you would. If I just wanted to give up and die, maybe I would take the chemo because it would maybe just kill me. And I thought maybe you were going to say, oh, if I just wanted to give up, I'll just like stop all treatment. Like with whatever you choose, I respect and I support you in. But maybe that was your intuition kind of coming out there about the chemo not being a good thing for you.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And I think it's possible too. I think a lot of the times in Western medicine, the way I've experienced it can be a savior. It can be so great. Like you just got in touch with these people at this incredible, Duke health system. I mean, it sounds like it might really suit what you're going through right now. And at the same time, I've also noticed people just given the next option and the next option, the next option without having the greater conversation of how do you want to spend your time considering
Yeah,
what you're going
mhm.
through.
Yeah, I was definitely exploring palliative care, hospice care. I mean, this is what's been happening in the past few days. And yeah, even now, the left, like, I've been trying to keep my mind and my heart calm, regardless of what happens in present, so not projecting negativity. And I'm aware of how language can affect things, but just if I'm observing neutrally, the left side of the body feels like something's turning off and it's progressing. So, but at the same time, I have faith. Like, even if let's say the left side of the body gets paralyzed or something happens, I believe the body can still heal. So I'm just trying to stay present this whole time and um, praying that the thing works out at Duke with the treatments there. Um,
Yeah, I would
yeah.
love to actually like research more about that treatment myself if you are interested in
Yeah.
sending it over. Like it just sounded pretty unique in that. Oh, you just went away again. I see your picture, but not your. Oh, there you are.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to send you the link. Yeah, I'll send it later.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I'm curious about that. Like something that is not chemo, or it doesn't have negative side effects, but is shown from the doctors what he told you, like has shown to be effective for exactly what you have going on. And you've been exploring everything. I think that's kind of amazing. I love that you're holding all the possibilities. Like you mentioned hospice and palliative care, which I think for everybody, like palliative especially, I think we all need palliative care, just like in life and in
Yeah.
healthcare. Like as we go through these things, it's not just for like, oh, you have a few days left to live. I think that palliative is like, oh, now we'll actually treat you as a human being and consider everything you want, in the whole context. So I think it's so good that you consulted with them. Everything's happened so fast. You like instantly had people in the second after you mentioned it, like, oh, I think I might be interested in palliative. The person's there. Oh, I just talked to them like 5 minutes later. The advanced healthcare directive is already like updated, and then you were thinking you're holding space too for this more, I guess you could say, like alternative, like ozone and that kind of treatment, the chemo, and then also this other alternative clinical trial treatment with Duke University. So it's you're not one-sided, I guess I'm noticing. You're holding space for all of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, it's not always easy in this position, but I try to gain as much data as I can from every person, regardless of where they're coming from, and then just take the information and then try to meditate on it and make a decision. I've been trying to do that this whole time. It's often a pretty intense situation. So, yeah. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and you've also said, like, withholding everything, you're not just, convinced that you're going to die soon from this, and you're also, like, open to that maybe being a possibility, um, right? Like you've said, but you've said both, which I think is kind of amazing too.
Well, I mean, yeah, look at, I don't know what you
Yeah,
can see, but yeah, so that's, I don't want to be in denial or like bypass things too. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and like knowing the nature of the prognosis, I guess you could say, with glioblastoma too. Like you're taking that into account as
Yeah.
well. Or, yeah, and it sounds like you're just taking everything in and considering how you want to spend your time, and that doesn't mean because it's only going to be short. It just means like I think that's really what you're checking in with yourself, um, against everything else. And yeah, is there anything, because like the work I try to do is around like how can we prepare for death before we like necessarily are in a life threatening situation. And I find that it's easiest to do like when I knew I was about to go in for surgery, like I finally completed my advanced healthcare directive because I thought, oh, I could like end up comatose and I don't want to be chilling on a ventilator with my mom like giving me full care because I could see her doing that. Like I don't want that. And so I rushed to finally fill out my advanced healthcare directive right before that surgery. And I know you were dealing with things with the advanced healthcare directive. It was a good reminder for me about how there are certain things that we can do ahead of time before we're in that situation. Is there anything like that you've thought, oh, I could have dealt with this sooner, just for other people to know? Um,
Well, I think it's important first to think about it and see what the different options are. I don't know if it's different in different hospitals or you could just create like a generic one that you would bring wherever you go, but there's different options like if I have this condition, like don't resuscitate me, or if this happens and I want these people to have a say in the matter or I don't want them to. So yeah, it's good to think about. Um, and then also that can change too. So if you fill it out and think about it, then maybe it'll help you discover what you actually do want. You know, like if you decide don't resuscitate me in this situation, but then later on maybe you think actually I do want to be resuscitated. So
I love that you mentioned that too, because like I think it's just a really good safeguard to just have, because if somebody is in the situation where they do need to make decisions for you because you can't, probably sounds like such a terrifying situation. I mean, I think just because it's so unknown, like what would it feel like to be just like on a ventilator, partially aware of what's going on, but like not able to communicate? I can't say what that might feel like. So it's scary to even think about being in that situation, and it scares me more to think again, like what if somebody out of love and caring about me so much like wants to, you know, keep me going no matter what. So I think it's a really like nice to have that as a safeguard, and it also opens up the conversation at any point, you know, no matter what kind of state of health you're in. Yeah, it just opens up the conversation with the people that you love to like make it clear. And then if it comes down to it and they need to use the advanced healthcare directive, at least they can know that they're honoring what you really want and not just guessing. I think it can set them up for a very different grief process too.
yeah. And that's in addition to actually speaking to the people, besides just filling out the form.
Right.
It's helpful to speak to the people.
Yeah, to do so. And so how is your family dealing with what you're going through, if you don't mind sharing? You don't have to answer.
Um, well, my parents, yeah, they've been amazing the whole time. I was at my mom and stepfather's place for like the first 6 months since the tumor diagnosis and surgeries, and then at my father and stepmother's place for like a few months after that. And yeah, they're doing great. I mean, they weren't planning on this to happen. They weren't preparing for it. So I was just going to New York expecting to work and then go back to Hawaii. So my mom and her husband, they were very gracious to let me stay with them, and they took care of me and drove me to appointments, and same thing with my father and stepmother. And so yeah, they're doing the best they can. They're somewhat limited, just like anyone would be in this situation, to caretake me. Um, so yeah, it's a good opportunity. It's kind of like lineage purification and just old issues coming up, but then just we're all bringing love to it, and it's almost like we're forced to just like move through it quicker. And then in a sense, it's like I have there's a focal point now. Like, okay, let's keep Ethan alive and all bring love into our lives, and everyone's going to benefit. That's kind of what I'm seeing. So I'm grateful to be that role in a sense.
You just summed that up also beautifully in a way that sounds almost easy, but I imagine when you say um, that it's you're moving through things faster, that means that there's a probably some intensity to it. Also, from what you shared some with me too, that I'm sure it's not always easy as this is stirring everything up. Would you say?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even right now, I feel the right side of my brain, there's pain in the right side of my head, and I feel what's happening on the left side of the body, like even as we're speaking in real time. So yeah, it's just constant intensity, and yeah, but I feel like everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, yeah. I just think sometimes it seems like, oh, well, now everybody should get along no matter what was going on with them before, or like no matter what problems like have existed or conflicts or anything. But I find that it tends, and from what I've heard too, is that it just tends to be more intensified during these intense situations.
Yeah, it can be, yeah. But personally, I'm trying to use it as a practice, and I think I can only speak for myself, but because it's me, I think it makes it a little bit easier for everyone involved. If it was somebody who was more negative, for example, or bitter or things like that, you know, so I'm trying to do my best. Like I'm not responsible for how other people feel, but at the same time, like I'm trying to be as positive as I can and grateful, and I think that's helping.
That's amazing to hear. It's like everything in your life that you've done in terms of like practices and being the person that you are can I mean, you're talking about really helping others considering what you're going through and yourself.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it definitely feels like a family clearing, a family upgrade. That's my prayer anyway, that this will benefit everyone in my family and other people too.
That's so beautiful to hear. I'm so glad we're having this conversation because like I'm just like learning as well, like to see things, like, just broaden the perspective of what that can all mean. Um, Even being a positive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, nobody was like planning on this happening. And so let's see. 6 p.m. right now. Is there anything else that you want others to know? Maybe we could talk about the fundraiser that's coming up. I talked to Madeline, but I don't have like full info yet on what's going on. We could save that for another one too.
Okay. But yeah, definitely I'm calling in financial support and definitely prayers. But a lot is changing quickly. And for example, I spoke to a doctor, I forget his name. He was in the movie Thrive 2. Someone highly recommended him. Dr. I forget. But he treats people in my condition, and he's like a master at how to alkalize the body safely and how to create the optimal like terrain in the body to heal. But he's in California, so I can't go to the clinic. My point in sharing that is I think I spent like $900 on all his different protocols and supplements, um, because I wasn't sure if I would do the chemo or I'd have to literally create my own glioblastoma healing protocol. So I've been spending money on those things, and if and when I go to Duke, might need to rent an Airbnb for my parents to stay in. They've pretty much exhausted every resource they have. They've been very generous and kind, um, and that might be happening in the next few days. And then, in addition to other protocols, in addition to what I do at Duke, if I go there, so I'm trusting everything will work out. But yeah, there are a lot of expenses and a little bit of urgency too. Um, I don't have an exact list of prices and things like that, but maybe in the future
Mm-hmm.
we could discuss
Yeah.
that.
No, that's good to know. I didn't even realize in terms of like the housing situation that yeah, that's really practical. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and with that, so it feels right for you at this point, from what I'm hearing from you, to continue with both the California doctor and the Duke as of this moment.
Yeah, well, the California doctor, I'll have a follow up in maybe a week. And yeah, I'm trying to coordinate all the doctors. There have been a lot of them, different hospitals when I was in New York, North Carolina. So yeah, I want to, I think the stronger the support system, the better,
Mm-hmm.
to get, because everyone has their expertise and experience. So yeah.
A lot of work that you've been doing from that bed.
Yeah, I'm in the hospital right now. It's pretty amazing that we can do this here.
It's another good way to think about it. You are so positive. Sometimes I like hope that you're okay because you're so positive, but I know it's real. So
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't call it positive, but trying to be present and uh, consciously, like consciously use language. And but actually, also, it's a little bit selfish because in the past, if I would be negative and stressed out, it would literally cause pain in my body. So I don't want to. I want to have good feelings.
yeah, we all know that it doesn't feel good, that it's like not good for us. I think it's another thing to like really be able to do that. And again, I think it's like a lifetime practice that you've been on this journey with, from my perspective, to be able to um, be in presence right now. Do you want to speak more about that? Because I think a lot of people could benefit from just hearing what you have to say about presence. Like both, I mean, maybe even comparing to like before and after this, if it's any different in terms of presence, and yeah, like how do you do that? How do you stay present?
Um, well, yeah. Before this, I mean, for many years, it was kind of like a unconscious pattern I had to bring a lot of healing to, but almost like being negative as an excuse for not opening my heart because if I opened my heart, then I could be vulnerable and I could get hurt. So I'd kind of close down and stay closed and project that out, and then I would just create those patterns. And then if I opened my heart, it felt like I was lying because I would always be not doing that as much. Not always, but often. So now after the cancer, even before the cancer diagnosis, I kind of brought integration to those patterns. So now with all of these things coming up that I don't have control over, I'm trying to look at how they can be used in the most beautiful way. And even on like let's just look at business here. Money, business. So this is kind of a cool story. If and when I heal, not just about money and business, but like I'm looking at it like, wow, I wouldn't consciously choose in advance to have all this pain and challenges and surgeries, but like for a story, this is kind of a cool story to have these things happen and then transform it into something beautiful. So that's kind of the attitude I have now each time something comes up. Yeah, so especially with the things I don't have control over. Like I almost personally, I have no choice. Like everything that happens, I'm just going to, I want to transmute it into something beautiful. I think that's like we all have that ability. It's like alchemy, you know?
That's yeah, amazing way to see life. And as you were talking about, like, if you do open your heart, then this could happen. Like, I think it's just something that we all really relate to on a deep level. I think that's kind of happening all the time. It can be so easy to close our hearts as we go out into the world. And, oh my gosh. And when you said, like, too, about how, what a cool story, like, it could all be like later. I'm thinking you're probably also referring to now as well, because I'm thinking, well, now as well. It already is. Like, you're already here sharing these things with other people and managing somehow to give your gifts by being this example of this. Because I imagine, like, oh, in this situation I'd probably be a bitch. I probably wouldn't be very happy to be around. Like, yeah, so it inspires me to like instill more of these practices that I think are important as well, like around like meditation and just trying to be present in everyday life and try to stay open. Because yeah, we never know what kind of circumstances we might find ourselves in. I'm also thinking of somebody who came to one of my workshops and we did a death meditation, and I was feeling I like oscillate between feeling like really scared as I consider and contemplate death, and like terrified, and like that's really terrible that even happens to all of us. Like, how is this the way that it is to be human, and then all the suffering that's attached to it. And then I have other moments where I'm just like, wow, what a cool adventure. We have no idea where we're going, and maybe it's like not that bad. Like, yeah, like it just feels like it's all perfect sometimes. And when so I was referring to this workshop, and we were contemplating death, and we got to the point of the death meditation, and we were talking about the feeling of not being able to take a full breath. And somebody shared that when he used to have asthma attacks, he would use it as a practice around death, and has since just instilled more breathing practices to be comfortable with that out of control feeling. So just another example of like, how could we maybe sooner be in touch with the reality that we'll all go through suffering and illness and death, and yeah, how we might prepare for it, and just be in touch with the truth of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time. 6:08. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we go?
I can't think of anything. Can you think of anything?
No, I think that was great. We had the goal to go a little shorter this time, and I think we did
Yeah.
it. So we can do them more often.
Perfect. Yeah,
All
I
right.
really appreciate this.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. Let's talk soon.
Okay.
Aloha.
Aloha.